Hello. Just, you want to read a tune? I'm just speaking.
Well, you could start out by saying where we went today.
Start off?
Sure, it.
Okay. Well, today is Father's Day, 1999, and I just came back from Moffett Field Air Base where there was an air show with two of my great-grandsons and their father. And on the way back, I was relating the story of how I got in the Coast Guard. And he said, "Oh, God, we should record that." And so here we are. And the story goes like this. I was back in Southwest Missouri and trying to get an education. And at that time of the year it was difficult because it cost money and we didn't make a lot of money. So I had a cousin that had gone to West Point, and I said, well, I would go the same route. I asked my congressman for an appointment to West Point or the Naval Academy. And he said, well, I won't have an appointment until you're too old. But he sent me the literature on the Coast Guard Academy. I looked it over, and they had the same elements, and which I wanted. I wanted an education. And I put in an application to the Coast Guard, and they sent me back the information as to the competitive examination. At that time, I was going to school in Springfield, Teachers College, in Southwest Missouri. And they gave me one day off to go and take the examination in St. Louis. Well, that was an overnight trip to St. Louis. And it was the day after Lindbergh had arrived back from his trip to Europe, flying across the Atlantic. So I took the examination and passed it. But prior to that, all my, and you're wondering why I didn't follow a routine method. Well, the applications that I had sent in had arrived back home, which is in Viola, and I was in Springfield. And my sister, it turns out, had thrown all those things away because she didn't want me going into, she didn't want me leaving home. Well, anyway, that was my story in getting to Springfield, and I had overnight notice to go to St. Louis and take the competitive exam to the Coast Guard. So I went up and took it, and lo and behold, I made the grade. And back in 1927, I was accepted into the Coast Guard Academy, and thus left Missouri. And I finished 3 years there, and then went to Hawaii. I was commissioned in ensign. I went to Hawaii and spent 3 years over there. I had left Missouri and spent 3 years at the academy, and I didn't have enough money to get home on. And then again, after I'd graduated, I went to Hawaii. Well, the only way you get back to the coast at that time was by boat. I didn't have that kind of money, didn't want to come back anyway. So I didn't get back for another 3 years. By that time, I'm a Lieutenant JG. And from that time, I was in New York, met Mary Rose, my wife, was married, and then accepted as Coast Guard, sent me to law school. And 4 years, 3 years in law school. Then the war came along. I had quite a tour of duty in the war. Well, I commanded a DE most of the time. And you want to go ahead?
Sure.
You can cut some of these, you can cut and try.
Oh, I don't think there's anything to cut out here.
Well, anyway, I had 3 years at war. Well, as we went into the Navy right off, and they got command of a destroyer escort, which is a very fine command. And with that escort, with that destroyer, we got tangled up with a submarine in the Mediterranean and put the final kibosh on him, brought him to the surface with, by the time which had, with some others had joined me with the with the Pride, had joined me with the Pride, and we finished him off about 3 o'clock in the morning, got 49 prisoners off of it, and then I went from there to a division of this church, which I commanded for the rest of the war. After the war, we had various types of duties. I finished up my life in the Coast Guard and was retired and got a bunch of grandchildren and great-grandchildren now, and the occasion was today that we had taken two great-grandchildren and a grandson to Moffett Field to the air show. And on the way back, I started telling the story, and Mark said, well, I think you ought to record that. So here we are recording it, and I hope you like it. Hope that we can make it a part of my history, something you want to play sometime and remember me by.
Well, Bob, why don't you say a little bit about our Sunday ritual at Country Gourmet? Because every Sunday, Bob takes us all.
Well, Mark says, relate a little more about my life with the family because, well, I wanted to see the family at least once a week. So I said, well, let's all get together for a Sunday night dinner. And Mark and Maria, great-grandchildren, had said, well, we usually like Country Gourmet up here near us. And I said, well, all right, let's all go to Country Gourmet. So from then on, we've established a Sunday night dinner with all the family, get together around one table. But now Mark and Maria have 4 children, twin girls, including twin girls, which are now almost 3 years old. And they make quite a table of family. And Maria usually puts the twins, leaves me at the end of the table, and the 2 girls sitting to the side of me, which is quite a feat for me. I like that, and they don't seem to mind. They don't cotton up to me just like I'd like for them to, but they will eventually, I hope. But at any rate, that's one of the things we do. And like today, I took Mark and his 2 boys up to the air show, and we stayed there in the hot sun as long as we could and saw the planes flying in and out, doing the didos. Quite a show. I'd never seen one, and I think they'd seen one last year, but they thought they could see it again. And up there's a huge hangar that was for dirigibles. And today it was full of planes, things like that for the Navy. And they had a big time there. We picked up lunch on the grounds, and now I think we're all back to Mark's, and they've gone to bed. So that's as far as we are today. I think we'll go and have dinner again today, as usual. You want to ask any questions, Mark?
Oh, I can't think of anything else right now, Bob.
Well, I'd be glad to add to this. This is kind of a history making. I think that I've skipped over a lot of things. That in getting into West Point, I had a cousin that had gone to West Point, and he'd graduated just about the time I got out of high school. So that gave me a taste. I wanted to go to West Point, but as I said, my congressman did not have an appointment for me, and he gave me this information on the Coast Guard Academy, which was competitive. And I took that and got in the Coast Guard, and I've been very happy with it ever since because I've made a career out of it. Got a law degree while I was in the Coast Guard and practiced law for 30 years after I'd retired. And now my wife's been dead 10 years, and I'm living in California. 94 years old now, to be exact. I mean, my 95th birthday will be this fall. It's coming up this fall. And I still try to keep up with some of them. Chip and I went to the coast yesterday. Had a beautiful crab salad over there for lunch. And saw a lot of the West Coast, which is usually cold as heck, but then it's nice getting over there. It's a nice outing. So I've had 2 days of very nice outing, and I'm ready to call it a day after Sunday night dinner.
Okay, Bob, that was very, very nice. Thank you
Mark.
for making that recording.
Thank you, Mark.
The girls are ready. The girls are rolling out dough for the first time. Here's Lillian. Let Lillian finish. Go ahead, Lillian.
I'll do.
Yeah, you're gonna do next.
It's not lemon.
Very good, Lillian. Okay, Mary Rose,
Now
turn.
we're hiding
Now,
the.
Mary Rose, you need to do it the other.
That's on the way. We're hiding them.
You go this direction. Here.
Look at that. My rose. My rose. Look at that.
Okay, let's stop. Because once it starts to peel up, then we have to stop. Thank you, girls. Bump! And then, oops, I did that prematurely. Something went bump. How that bump made us jump. We looked, then we saw him step in on the mat. We looked and we saw him, the cat in the hat. And he said to us, "Why do you sit there like that? I know it is wet and the sun is not sunny, but we can have lots of good fun that is funny."